Yep.
When life calls on you to be every woman and your relationship is called into question, it might be comforting to know, if she were you, what would she do?
Hi, I'm your host Saran, and this is What Would She Do? Today I have with me my relationship advisor, Miss Latasha McElwain, and my male perspective is coming from Mack. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, the topic of today's show is I'll pass. This is a scenario where you're in a relationship and your friend tells you that your significant other has made a pass at him. So we're going to get right to it on this one. Mack, what would you do in that situation?
Well, I think you have to take in consideration what level of relationship you have with these two people. Of course, this is your fiance. So you have a strong relationship with her.
Or any, I want to make it general so we address everybody.
Even if she's just a girlfriend?
What you mean just? You got to be a girlfriend before you get to the other stages.
Right, but when you get to levels in relationships, things do change.
Okay.
So, that does change the perspective of how you're going to address the situation. Now, if she's a fiance, then this is a woman that you are looking forward to marrying. Mm-hmm. So, of course, you're saying to yourself, why is she making a pass at a buddy of mine?
Okay, what if she's a wife?
That's, you just drawing the line. I mean, you've really drawn the line.
What if she's a girlfriend?
She's a girlfriend, so she still has to rise to the next two levels. And I think a man would be quicker to dismiss a girlfriend than he would a wife.
I addressed this to both men and women, and this is the first time that I was able to pose the same exact questions to both the men and the women. So for me, if my girlfriend says my guy has made a pass at her, I think I would want to hear the situation. I actually was in a situation like that, and you listen to your girlfriend. And I didn't go to the guy with, oh, she said you did this. I just asked him about the progression of his day, and he mentioned, that he ran into that friend, and he explained the same situation that she explained. So in that situation, I think it's a matter of perception, like how did she perceive whatever. So in that situation, I didn't feel like I needed to go at him with the, oh, she said, because then that's tension. And then I addressed with her, okay, if that's how you took it, it seems like it was misinterpreted, because he didn't say anything too far off from what she said. So I really think it's the people, like the who is telling you this information.
Yes, definitely.
So with you, you haven't addressed your friend at all. Like, do you ever?
Oh, you definitely address him. I would personally like to address both of them in the same scenario, because this way nobody can change their story.
Right.
I got both of you guys in front of me. What happened?
Okay, in this situation, what happens if they both stand strong on no, I didn't, yes, he did type thing? How do you mediate and resolve what's going on there?
I would think that as the male that's dealing with that situation, figuring out, where you stand for the most part, and trying to decide, okay, this is my friend, this is my, girlfriend, whatever the case may be there, who do I trust and what's going on? Where are we in in the situation? Is he a friend I just met, or he's a friend I've been friends with for years? Mm-hmm. This is my boy. Or this is a young lady I just met, or this is a young lady I've been dating for a very long time. Then if you even, move over into this is my wife, or this is my fiance, whatever the case may be, you really would have to sit down and go with your better judgment, as in, okay, in making that call, if it's a conflicting story, even though you're sitting down in the same, same setting, and it's a conflicting story.
Well, for me, there's no difference between my boyfriend and my fiance and if my husband were in that situation. Like, I think in each scenario, I wouldn't just casually have a boyfriend that I wasn't looking forward to build with. So I would treat you know, that situation is same regardless of what the status in the relationship is. I guess it would depend on the situation. I just want to hear, like, if it makes sense, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Go ahead.
I would have to say, if it's a situation where it's someone, like, again, that you kind of just met, you guys been dating for maybe a few months or so, and you guys go out, you know, and not that you're not looking for that person, for the relationship to develop and grow, but if that situation were to happen, then, you know,
what would you do?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like you're looking like, well, we're sitting in the same situation. She's saying this. Yes, I've only known her about 5 or 6 months, and this has been my, you know, my friend since for 2 or 3 years. Let's just say 2 or 3 years. This is my friend for 2 or 3 years.
But you don't get a pass for that. Like, friends do that kind of stuff.
But a
all
lot
the
of
time.
times you could probably, you know, being a person that, you know, choosing your friends wisely and, you know, growing up and, you know, to what's going on out here in the world, I'm sure you could probably make a good decision on, okay, is it him or is it her?
Okay.
You know.
Right. And if you've already been around both of these people long enough to understand that either this guy is really flirtatious or maybe even your lady is flirtatious. And if you know that, then you say, you might want to pass it off as being that, but of course you still want to address it as such.
Okay, so let's go here. Let's say, well, I want to address the guy whose lady has made a pass at the friend first. What if she did make a pass? What if she's like, oh, I'm just kidding? What if I'm just kidding? Or, you know, okay, I did it, so what? Like, because you made a statement that, you know, if she's just your girlfriend, then, you know, she's still trying to work her way up. So she might feel the same way. What if she was really checking for your man?
Well, ironically, I've been in that situation.
Okay.
And my personal relationship was with him. So you're just a girlfriend. I didn't grow up with you. So I'm gonna let him know as a real friend, listen, you might want to reevaluate your situation here, because if she's coming on to me, who knows where else she's probably doing the same thing.
Okay.
So if you considering her as somebody that you want to move forward with, you might want to, you know, really reevaluate your situation.
If my guy came to me and said my girl made a pass at him, I think I would approach it the same way. Like, okay, what happened? And then I would ask her. I don't want to give them the information. Like, I want them to kind of, you know, bring it to me, right?
Yeah.
And then address it. I did some interviews, and like I said, this was the first time that I was able to ask the same exact questions to the both men and women. So the first part of it, like I said, I use one interview if that has been the gist of what everybody was saying. So I want to take a look at an interview that I did with one young lady, and we'll talk about that when we come back.
What would you do if your girlfriend told you your guy made a pass at her? I would probably get with him and we would have to talk about it. It depends on how long you've been in a relationship with your girlfriend. Hello. What would you do if your man said your friend made a pass at her? That would be an automatic conference for me. I like that. If you don't determine what's telling the truth, how do you proceed? I can determine not to tell the truth. I thought this is honestly with him or her first. So on the other side of that, if you have a girlfriend and her man makes a pass at you, what do you do? Check in, first of all, and then let her know because I'm her friend.
Flip. Like the other side of that question was, what if your girlfriend's man made a pass at you? And she's right on the money. Like, I think you gotta, whoever's in that situation, that's why you gotta hear both sides. You gotta check the person that's violating right at the time of violation. So that way, when you get to conference, be like, no, when you did this, I did or said that. So that way everybody's in the clear that this wasn't welcome, that this wasn't an invitation to, you know, whatever you got going on. Like, at the end of the day, it's a matter of respect. So I don't care if you knew that person for a week, you know, a month, 15 years, respect is respect. So,
Correct.
or
Absolutely.
a very new relationship as well. Like, it doesn't matter to me, you know, it's just that. So, with that being said, are you moving forward in either relationship? Like, as let's focus on the young woman. Like, her girlfriend's man made a pass at her. What is she, you know, sometimes women, we don't want to believe the friend. We want to get mad at the friend, or even if the friend saw this happening, you know, in general, sometimes women, we're not that receptive. And what was funny about this is everybody kind of, like, I thought it was going to be a lot of like, oh, I wouldn't be her friend anymore, or, you know, it wasn't that. It was like, let me check him first. And I applaud you, ladies, because you need to check your man. And either side of that, if he was flirting or she was flirting, you got to start at home base. That's just my thought about it.
Yeah.
Well, I got actually called out in a situation such as that, and I was just basically being friendly, and I think she took it as me flirting with her, or maybe it could have been a case where she didn't have a man and wasn't too happy about her girlfriend having a man, so she wanted to kind of cause some disruption in our relationship. You can get that too to happen, and then you also got, you know, what setting? Where are we at? Are we at an event? People are having drinks. A lot of stuff can come into play when it comes to something like that.
Let me tell you something. I don't care how many drinks you had. You better not.
Either you that person
go
that
there.
crossed the line, or you're not.
Right.
I get it.
I agree. What do you have to offer to that?
Well, I do believe some of the key words you guys mentioned was respect. Definitely an individual that respects themselves would, you know, definitely look out for the best interests of themselves and make sure that they're understanding what's going on. You know, who's coming at who, what's going on, who's saying what. Definitely making sure that you're, you know, able to make a, like I said, a real clear choice on, okay, is this what happened, or do I think this happened, and how am I going to respect myself in a situation to make sure that if I can go forward in either one of these relationships, first of all, which one I'm going to go forward in, and how am I going to address these individuals?
How do you make that determination? Like the young lady in the interview, she said if, you know, she can't tell who's telling the truth, she's done with everybody involved.
And I think that's a fair thing to say. You know, if you just can't trust anyone in that situation, trust is another big factor. If you can't trust anyone, then you have to look at it like, okay, I give myself enough respect to say I'm done with it, you know, and I'll move on.
Exit plan at that point.
Yeah.
So is it the same plan on either side? If the man is in a situation where his lady is flirting, is that the same as a woman who's in a situation where her man is flirting? Are we handling it the same no matter what?
It should be handled the same.
Yeah,
I don't think it should be a standard of if it's a male or female. Whoever did the violating, as you said,
Right.
they should be addressed.
Right.
I do also think that you guys brought up when you said the perspective of it, you know, how are you looking at it? You know, what, you know, was my harmless flirtation, you know, or me just being friendly, or, you know,
Right.
those are some other factors to look at. If you are in a relationship with someone you know, and you know your significant other may go up to the individual and say, hey, how you doing? And oh, da 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 da. She's not necessarily flirting with him. That's just how she approach individuals and talk. So she may walk up to your friend and say that, and your friend may take it as an, oh, your girlfriend was kind of flirty there. She, you know, no, that's just how she communicate with individuals. She's a people person, so she's very outgoing.
I guess what would you call flirting? You know, is flirting just a smile? Is flirting is body language?
Body language, major.
Okay.
When a woman or man approaches a person of the opposite sex and they get touchy, especially if it's you guys don't really know each other for a length of time, and you starting to touch me and you looking at me with your eye. Body language.
Is there a way to touch? Because I'm a touchy person. Like,
Well,
you know,
I think
I'm not flirting,
There's a
but
way to touch.
a way.
I think what I've ran into is a lot of individuals will say, well, I'm a touchy-feely person, so I need a hug when they first
I'm
meet
not
you.
that.
That's
Now,
a hug. That's
and
a hug. But
that's a person saying, most people will alert you
Okay.
if they're that type of person.
Yeah.
You know, well, I'm a touchy-feely person them, when you meet them, and they'll be like, we don't shake hands, we hug, or something of that nature. I've seen a lot of situations like that, just going out to, dinner parties and different things of that nature. And that's not necessarily that person flirting. That's just how they approach and how they communicate. And, the other person knowing that, okay, well, that's just how my girlfriend approach people.
I want a blatant flirt. Like, what is just blatant, so that there's no when it comes down to it, you start having these conferences, like I said, some things just make sense. You know what I'm saying? If she said hi, we gonna need to do better than that. But I need to know, what's just blatant violation? Like, no, you didn't say that to my man, or did you really disrespect my woman like that?
It can happen. It can happen. A blatant disrespect is the way I undress you with my eyes.
But that might be perception, because I might not be paying attention to you enough to know that you're undressing me with your eyes.
Well, then I think if you're undressing him, if he's undressing you with his eyes and you're not paying attention to it, I promise you there will be a next step to that. There will be a follow-up step that's going to take it farther.
Much.
Okay.
And if this person is focusing a lot of attention on you, and it's a room full of people, or you're at an event, really?
Yeah.
But you know what? Flirting, it doesn't have to be that. Flirting could be brief. It could be, we happen to get to the water fountain together, and I'm give you a compliment that might not be appropriate for that setting. I mean,
well, you just said it. It's not appropriate for that setting.
Well, what if it is appropriate? Let me tell you, I've had like flirting where it's just like you really have to say, okay, enough already. And people get offensive, or if the situation was handled in front of other people, now they're angry and they have something to prove. So what is the best thing for the person that's on the receiving end of this in their relationship to do?
The person on the receiving end of it, I believe they should look at it and say, okay, is this something that, definitely think of the perception pieces of it. Think of every aspect of it. Okay, was he really flirting with me? I mean, okay, well then maybe I need to just go ahead and talk to my friend or whomever and say, okay, does he usually do so-and-so, or does he usually address people in this manner or whatever? Try to figure that situation out before you jump to the conclusion, oh my gosh, he was flirting with me, just blatantly flirting with me. Now, there's some things that come out that is blatant flirting, it's just blatant. Disrespectfully, he was flirting with you. Correct. And when you know it's that, then that's it,
Well, I do want to take a look at the interviews that I did with the guys. And when I say I had so much fun doing these particular interviews, everybody kind of responded opposite the way I thought that they would. We're going to take a look at this, the flip side of our past, and we'll talk about it when we come back. The topic of today's show is our past. The scenario is you're in a relationship and your friend tells you that your lady has made a pass at him. What do you do?
Ooh. I would confront this situation with my lady. You know what I mean?
I'd probably have a problem with that.
Who's your problem with, him or her?
It'd be her.
Who's to say I can believe him?
Did your friend read the signal wrong?
I'd have to hear her side of the story first.
Yeah, it'll be done. She dead, I'm over with her.
On the other side, what would you do if your friend's girl made a pass at you?
I'll tell my friend.
I never brought it up to my guy friend because I didn't think it was a need to, because
when I stepped out and I did these interviews, I really thought the girls were gonna be like, oh, my girlfriend, and I thought the men were gonna be like, oh, my boy, we're done with that relationship. It was just the opposite. These men, and not just these in the interview, the majority of the men I spoke with, they just did not want to believe that their woman could be capable of flirting with, another man, like, oh, maybe he got it wrong. Like, they were just, no, I need to talk to her first. So I guess it's the same. The women, we wanted to go and straighten it out with him, straighten it out at home. And then the men felt the same way, but it wasn't the same tone. Like, theirs was like, she wouldn't do that. Maybe he didn't know. What if he wants her? What do you think about that?
That's a good question. I think you would have to determine that man himself in the situation. Like, okay, you're in a relationship with this woman that you really adore, and this is something you're looking to keep. So part of that might be trying to find an excuse why you don't want to believe that she would actually do that.
Okay.
So you like, I don't think she would do that.
But on the other side of that, we did see a young man who was just like, you know, if his lady made a pass, he's done. Like, she's over with. And I think that's the difference between men and women, because women, you know, we want to work it out and we want to try to find a little bit of truth in what he's saying. And some people, like, I really thought most of the guys were going to feel like him. Oh, if it came up, it's no question. She's done. They weren't like that. Why do you think that is?
Well, for the most part, I believe that men kind of put women on a pedestal anyway, and you know, there's some things that we just won't do, or you know, I guess I would say it like when you think about males, for the most part, women think, oh, they're dogs, they'll do this, they'll do that. But when you're talking about men sitting down talking about women, they're not looking at us like, oh yeah, they'll dog you, they'll do this, they'll do that.
Well, that is not the truth, because a lot of I know a lot of women out there that will take your heart, rip it out, step on it, and keep it moving. Well, and a lot of guys feel like that. Yeah. Like, you know, women, we're just as, you know, guilty when it comes to dogging, you know, the other out. But in this situation.
But with that, still, even though males say it one way or the other, when they get in that relationship, they're going to want to find out, okay, now women just don't blatantly do that, or women just don't, you know, they're still going to put that front up there like, women technically don't do that.
Well, you know what? I don't think it's women in general, because I mean, I know plenty guys that really feel like it's possible. I think when you put the relationship spin on it and you love this person and you've invested, you know, they don't want to believe it. But when they do find out, there's no compromise. Like, men, they're just done. We try to. You know, like you said, well, he was drinking, or maybe this, or,
excuses.
You know, it depends on where they was at, or even a girlfriend. Like, I would like to think that I don't have a friend out there that would do that. However, you know, there's a problem and some consequences that come with being disrespectful. Like, we were talking off sides, and we were trying to see what was a blatant flirtation, and it was said that it's whatever you would not do in front of the person that you're in a relationship with. So I don't know if there's really any room to bend when you're just being disrespectful.
Disrespect is disrespect, whether if it's on a lower level or on a high level. If you're going to respect your relationship, then you have to stay in that arena. If you come out of there, then anything can happen.
Well, is this something that I think there's always levels to what is their breaking point? Like I've discussed boundaries before. This might not be enough, even if you are guilty, for someone to say, I'm going to leave you. Like, somebody might say, flirting is harmless.
Yeah.
Okay, that, you know, they didn't step out, they're just flirting. But I think flirting is what you do before you step out. So
But I think it goes into it goes into the dynamics of male-female relationships and what go on, and how, like I said, how men view women and how women view men. Women will give men chance after chance, possibly after chance after chance, you know, to well done.
Right.
But
history has shown us that.
Yes, but men, once they, you know, they're going to be like, oh no, she wouldn't do that, da 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 da. But then once they get the confirmation, it's been done, I'm done. There's nothing to talk about.
How would you remedy that situation as our relationship advisor? I do want you to kind of work this out with a couple. Or should they work it out?
To work it out with a couple, being totally into a relationship and where you want that relationship to go from there is one of the big things that I would really, really you know, sit down and talk with them about. And then also to be able to see, okay, how's this, as a person, how's this person's personality, what's going on with them, you know, and you guys are going to have to sit down and discuss that and understand, you know, well, this is what I do and this is what I do, and find out if that's a blend that you guys can put together and work out. If it's not, you're too flirtatious, but well, I'm just a friendly person, and you know, the guy saying no or the girl saying no to that whole gesture of being this, that, and the other, then you might want to walk away.
What if you are a friendly person? What if that is just harmless, but your person, I might not be, I don't want you to hug everybody you meet. Is that something that he needs to change about himself to be in a relationship with me? And me is the hypothetical me. You know, what is a woman who feels like he just should not be doing, or vice versa? You might feel like, why do you have to hug or be that friendly?
My thing would be, you're going to have to deal with whatever it is you can handle. If you can't handle that, then you don't need to be in that relationship.
It's a decision that has to be
It's
made.
a decision that you have to be truthful with yourself, honest with yourself, and whether I can handle that. Am I mature enough to handle that, or is this a situation where it doesn't matter what maturity level? That's just disrespectful, and you don't do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody takes things a different way.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to address the situation when it does arise. But if it's something, as she said, if your maturity level can't handle it, then you might want to reconsider what you're doing.
Well, why would that be a maturity level? Would you ever advise the person that is making the other person uncomfortable to change what they're doing?
Oh, I would never advise anyone to change what they're doing
Interesting.
in situations. I would tell them to be who they are and go with their, their instinct, their gut feeling, and what they feel is right. It's not necessarily, a lot of times we fall into these, societal things, or what mom, dad said we should do, or what, my friends say I should do. You really have to find that happiness within you, and if that's something that you can't stand for, then you have to just own up to it and say, okay, I understand you're a friendly person, you do this, that, and the other, but that type of flirtation puts me somewhere else, and I can't handle that.
So we heard from a guy who says that he didn't feel like it was a need to mention to his friend. That's a problem. If I have a friend who has been on either side of that, being flirted with or flirted with my guy, I need to know. So if you kept that a secret, I don't expect you to tell me if he was flirting, because you don't want what's going to follow that up. But if my guy didn't say anything, or you know what I'm saying, or if my guy flirted with my friend and she felt like, oh, I'm not going to say anything, I have to question that friendship, because I think sooner or later stuff comes up.
Yeah, he has to be addressed.
Yeah.
He has to be addressed. Either way, he has to be addressed.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you have this situation with a friend, like what if you have a girlfriend out there and she is in a situation where her girlfriend's man has made a pass at her, but she might feel like she might lose the friendship if she says something to her friend, or he might turn it around on her. How do you advise that lady to be in this situation?
Again, I would say, I truly tell individuals to go with their gut feeling, go with what makes them more comfortable. If you go with something that's not, genuine, chances are it's going to blow up.
Okay, is that being true to her friendship then? Like, she might be comfortable not saying anything, but I think when it's left unsaid, it just advances.
It will advance.
So is she just run with your gut and keep going through this, or is she like, girl, let me tell you?
Regardless of what, even if she's trying to quote unquote run with her gut and just not say anything, it's going to come to a head eventually if she truly feels like it was wrong. Now, if you're dealing with one of those individuals that don't feel like what they said was wrong, then you have to really address that and say, okay, that's maybe how she do things. That's how she does it.
Okay.
Well,
I hope that there was something in this conversation that would help you, any woman or man in a situation where you're dealing with flirting. I think disrespect is not tolerable ever. So if you're in that situation, like Latasha said, you really have to see what works for you, what you're comfortable with to move forward in any relationship. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'd like to thank Mack for coming out today.
Thanks for
thank you so
having me.
much, sir.
Appreciate it.
And Latasha, love you to death. Thank you.